Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for a Chelsea news video. It's Friday, the weekend is coming, and even though I'd love to be bringing you the announcement that Kai Havertz is finally a Chelsea player, today we're going to put that story on the back burner a little bit. I'll address what's going on first of all, so that for those of you that don't follow everything on social media, that don't read the newspapers, that quite often get things wrong, basically at this moment in time, talks are still ongoing, so I'm not going to waste anyone's time by repeating the same things that I said in yesterday's video. If you haven't yet seen yesterday's video, go give it a watch. I explain a little bit about how the negotiations are going, where the gaps are right now, and why Kai Havertz is not yet announced as a Chelsea player. But today, we're talking about a player who has actually signed for our club. It's a very exciting signing. It's one that has kind of gone on the back burner a little bit with Chelsea Football Club themselves. We've signed a man from Barcelona, which is already getting people listening. His name is Xavier Mbuyamba. I'm probably saying that wrong. Pronunciation for names where there's two consonants at the beginning of the name is always something I struggle with, but luckily I just make these videos online. My job isn't to be the commentator for a Champions League night on ITV. So we've signed a geezer who is being compared to Virgil van Dijk. Now today I'm going to explain a little bit about the geezer. I'm going to put some clips on the screen from a couple of videos I will link down below if you want to watch the whole thing. This geezer is signed. He's signed until 2023. It's a 3-year deal, and he has come straight into Cobham, and he's in with the development squad. He's already been training with the boys, but it's an exciting signing because this guy has a hell of a lot of potential. He's only 18 years old, he's 6'5", and something that I personally find incredibly cool is that he is born a day after me, the 7th of August, and you know, he's only 18 years old. He's a millennial, should we say, but from what I've seen of him, and it's not a lot, I'm not going to pretend that I've been scouting this guy for years. The videos that I've seen, I know, I can already hear you commenting in the comments, it's just a YouTube video. Every footballer's, even I could have some highlights from nice passes that I did in the Sidemen charity match to JMX that kind of went under the radar. You know what I mean? But from what I've seen and what I've heard, Chelsea have been courting Xavier Mbuyamba since he was 16 years old, and we finally have his signature. A lot of people have been asking me, do you think he's been signed to come into the first team? Not immediately. The guy's only 18 years old, and he has gone straight into the development squad. But what I want to talk about today is obviously the Frank Lampard project, things that we've seen this season, and where I see Mbuyamba being at Chelsea probably in the very near future. He's very good on the ball, he's a right-footed centre-back, and what we've seen from Frank Lampard over the course of this season as Chelsea manager, the one that we've just had, development squad players are getting opportunities. We saw that Mark Gurhey, before he went out on loan, he was given a game against Grimsby. Billy Gilmour, obviously exactly the same, and then we realised very quickly that Billy Gilmour was very much ahead of the curve in terms of that step up from the development squad into the first team. Billy Gilmour is one of those rare ones where immediately when he steps foot into the side, you can see that he is ready to make that step up to the highest level. With Xavier Mbuyamba, he's been at Barcelona. Chelsea have obviously had him on the radar for a couple of years. Even though he's 18 years old, we've seen so many young players being brought through this season. It's probably going to be maybe at least a season or two, at least, until we see this man being brought through. We know that right now, Chelsea have got some relatively high-profile centre-backs at the club. We've got Rudiger, we've obviously got Christensen, Zuma, and of course Fikayo Tomori, who we're also going to talk about today in this Chelsea news video. So, the pecking order at Chelsea, it's not looking likely that Mbuyamba's going to come in and walk into this first team. He's not the player that's been signed to actually fill that role that we know at the moment Chelsea are looking to do. The fact that Frank Lampard has been giving opportunities to young players means that I sit here today and make this video because the likelihood is we'll at least see him in the first team much sooner than if he were to sign for another club in the Premier League because of the project that Frank Lampard has. I'd expect that he might be on the bench or he might even start a game if we get a favourable early round draw in the League Cup. So, it's very interesting to see how the club have actually reported on this signing, because going into another story, they've put something up on the Chelsea FC website saying that Izzy Brown, you know, that guy that we've had since he was 16 years old, we signed him from West Brom, Izzy Brown has gone out on loan next season to Sheffield Wednesday. Now, it's at this point in his career where He's 23 years old. It's not like he's one of the young players now. We're talking about an 18-year-old that we've just signed. He's got 5 years on Xavier Mbuyamba. Yes, it's a totally different position, but the way I see a lot of these Chelsea players that have been there for a long time, you know, we've had him for 8 years. It's at this point now where I think Chelsea are probably giving him these loan moves because they're trying for him to have like a breakthrough season. Last season, Izzy Brown at Luton, he got 8 assists. He was top of Luton's assists, helped them stay in the Championship. You just hope he has a breakthrough season in the Championship where he nets like 15, 20 goals. And then Chelsea can look at that and be like, right, is Izzy Brown going to come in and displace Christian Pulisic? Probably not. Timo Werner? No. Havertz? No. The realistic outcome for Izzy Brown is that hopefully this season he can bag a load of goals and then Chelsea can look for like 10, 15 million for the player, and the next thing you know, it's a little bit extra added to next season's transfer budget. No offense to Izzy Brown, obviously he's been at Chelsea a long time. I don't want to disrespect the geezer, but the likelihood is that this kind of loan move is the one where Chelsea are trying to push him into a team in the Championship who might be looking for the playoffs or something like that. We can cash in on him next summer. Of course, with all Chelsea news videos, the onus is always on the big name players that we're linked with. I've made about 50 videos talking about Kai Havertz. But the interesting thing about this Xavier Mbuyamba deal is that the way that Chelsea reported on it is at the bottom of the article where we're looking at Izzy Brown's loan move to Sheffield Wednesday. So I thought it would be doing the man justice. Of course, it's a new signing from Barcelona. Very exciting prospect. He's being talked about as the next Virgil van Dijk, which of course puts a lot of pressure on the young man's shoulders. And I want to talk a little bit about pressure on social media. I've got a lot of people saying to me that when I put out tweets like this one on your screen, when I'm saying that Timo Werner is going to get a hat-trick against Brighton, what I'm doing with this isn't necessarily to say like, I genuinely think Timo Werner is going to get a hat-trick on his debut. I'm just speaking it into existence, trying to build a bit of positivity, because a lot of people don't understand. Footballers these days, they've grown up on social media the same way that I have, or the same way that you have. And when these players see, just maybe on their Explore feed or something, people talking about them in a positive light, it definitely has more of a mental impact on these players than we probably give credit for. So when I do hype up a player, obviously doing it with the intentions of speaking about the best case scenario. And I'm not always doing it with like this blind optimism that I sometimes have that Chelsea are going to win games. When I'm bigging up a player, the idea in my mind is that the more we hype these players, the more they're going to see the excitement around them, and then they're going to want to fulfill that potential because they know that the fans and the club are backing their development. And I think with Xavier Mbuyamba, the links to Virgil van Dijk, of course, the geezer is Dutch, which is obviously where this one's coming from. He's 6'5", and from what we can see from the highlights that you guys are seeing on the screen, the man looks very comfortable on the ball. And I think this is the kind of player that, for the future of this Chelsea team, we can get very excited about. Now, something else that I've pictured in my mind regarding Xavier Mbuyamba is the fact that we've still got the youngster Fikayo Tomori at Chelsea, who does like to play on the left side of the centre-back position. Fikayo is right-footed, but he does not mind playing on that left-hand side. So I'm sat here thinking, this is exciting. We could see an Mbuyamba ex-Fikayo Tomori Chelsea partnership for many years to come. Of course, if both of their developments mean that they are ready for the Chelsea first team. Without trying to big it up too much, it's not a guarantee, but it is something that we could foreshadow for the future. Now, speaking of Fikayo Tomori, supposedly Marino Granovskaya is currently looking for a loan move for Tomori. I've also seen some reports that there are clubs in France that are looking to buy Fikayo Tomori, and I wanted to address this in today's Chelsea news video because the last thing I want to see Chelsea doing right now, of all of the centre-backs that we could potentially sell this summer, Tomori is the last one that I would consider selling because of his age, because of his potential. We saw at the early stages of last season that Tomori was very good. He had some very good individual games. Of course, we remember the rocket he scored against Wolves. He scored in the FA Cup away at Hull City as well. Fikayo Tomori's got a very bright future, and a lot of people are reading into the fact that towards the end of the season, where our defence was obviously at its worst, we were conceding the most goals. Tomori was in the squad, but he wasn't considered by Frank Lampard, and I think there's definitely something that's happened, maybe behind the scenes, with Frank trying to teach things, and maybe Tomori wasn't picking it up as quickly as some of the other more experienced centre-backs, hence why the other centre-backs were starting over him. So I wouldn't necessarily say that it's something to worry about, and I don't believe that Chelsea will be looking, as the sun just goes in, I don't think Chelsea are looking to sell Tomori this summer, but if he's going to be behind some centre-back signings that we do buy to improve the first team for next season, it would be a good idea to send him out on loan. Something that I have seen a lot of reports about is that if Chelsea are looking to go for Declan Rice, they can offer the cash, plus also Fikayo Tomori on a season-long loan deal. This is the kind of move that I think would be fantastic for Tomori's development. He's playing in a team that, around a mid-table club, obviously they're going to have a lot of defending to do. If Declan Rice leaves, obviously he's not playing in centre-back necessarily for West Ham all the time, he's playing in CDM. At this moment in time, if West Ham are going to offload Declan Rice to Chelsea, if that interest is genuine from the Blues, then sending Tomori out on loan for next season could well be a very good idea. There's also a lot of people saying that Declan Rice isn't going to be bought for Chelsea as a centre-back option. I totally disagree. I think for his development and the future of Declan Rice's playing days, if he's going to make a big move up to a club like Chelsea, where he'd be battling for the number 6 space with someone like a Kovacic or an N'Golo Kante, Jorginho, putting him in centre-back, where Chelsea clearly have a hole at the moment, is the perfect move for him. So yeah, thought I'd keep it short and sweet today. Thought I'd dedicate a video to someone else who isn't Kai Havertz for today's Chelsea news video. The signing of Xavier Mbuyamba is a signing that we've made now, alongside both Timo Werner and Hakim Ziyech. He's the third name through the door, and I wanted to give you guys a bit of information today about who he is, what we can expect from him from the future, and just talk a little bit about this whole overhyping players thing. I think it's a good thing that we talk positively on social media, on these YouTube videos, about the potential of our players. Yes, it does put this pressure on the shoulders of the player, but don't you also think that the pressure comes from us saying that it's pressure? Think about that a little bit. It's a little bit of like a deep psychological thought to leave you guys with in today's video. I personally think it's a great thing to hype up these players, to get excited about these players, even if they're not going to be necessarily featuring in the first team immediately. But anyway, thank you guys for watching today. If you did enjoy this Chelsea news video, make sure to let me know by hitting the like button. Let me know your thoughts on the new signing and the potential loan move for Fikayo Tomori in the comments down below. And I will catch you in the next video tomorrow. See you guys there. Bye-bye.